talk about how Todd Monken has developed quarterbacks in his past. Monken has been around for a while. He started in 2016. That's where we'll start this progression, and took Jameis Winston as a young pup and led him to 3 seasons. He threw for 4,000 yards in his first season together. Got hurt later in the progression, but Jameis early in his career was under Todd Monken. Then he went to the Browns, and in 2019 with Baker Mayfield, Baker threw 22 touchdowns and over 3,800 yards. In 2020,
how many
he went
picks
to Georgia.
for Baker that year?
21. Was going to intentionally ignore that. He went to Georgia after that.
You crazy.
And took Stetson Bennett, who was a unrecruited, no-star walk-on, and turned him into a 2-time national champion winning quarterback, 2-time national championship game offensive MVP. Tyvis has won a defensive championship MVP. You see the trophy on our set behind us. Stetson Bennett has 2 offensive championship MVPs. And then he went to the Ravens, and under his tutelage, Lamar Jackson had the highest passer rating of his career under any offensive coordinator he's worked with. Under Todd Monken, it was 109.5. Under Greg Roman, it was 98.1. Under Marty Morningweg, it was 84.5. Lamar won an MVP under the Todd Monken-led offense, threw 86 touchdowns, just 8 interceptions. So he's shown a propensity to get the most out of the quarterbacks he's been able to work with. Now, they have Shedeur, they have Deshaun, they have Dylan Gabriel on the roster. Jeremy Fowler was on ESPN Cleveland yesterday and said, and I quote, "I expect the Browns to add there," speaking of the quarterback room, "I think the shakeup will be there regardless if it was Monken or someone else." So we don't exactly know who necessarily will be in the quarterback room moving forward.
Well, but he did mention 2 guys.
He mentioned Malik Willis and Ty Simpson, but those are the second highest rated draft prospect and the top free agent quarterback.
Right.
So whatever. Whoever's in the quarterback room,
Yeah.
and G, I want to start with you on this one. Do you trust Todd Monken to be able to get the most out of whoever he values and sees as the QB1 of this franchise moving forward?
Based on his level of attention and detail and how he values development, I think so. But we must say this too. It's just not him. The players have to do their part.
Yeah, of course.
The players gotta come in, lock in, and figure it out in terms of what he wants to run and how they want to move. But I do think that he'll get the most out of them, and I think he'll have a generally positive attitude in coaching these guys up in his room. Obviously, you go down his track record. I don't know if Gunnar Stockton was still there, but you had him. You had other guys at Georgia that played very well. I like what he talked about with the run game. He also went on to say, like, in terms of his run game, if you can't run the ball, you're done. You can't run it. And running the ball doesn't necessarily mean that it's married to a personnel grouping. You can run the ball and be physical, but with 4 receivers on the field. It's just about the commitment to do so. Now, some Ravens fans will laugh and joke and say, he should have been giving Derrick Henry the ball more back in the day. So that's part of the play calling, and play callers going to have those ebbs and flows. But in terms of what he's looking for, I love the fact that he talks about he needs a quarterback that's going to make plays out schedule. He needs players that's going to be a playmaker and ability. And he talks all the time about if you got that key attribute and key trait, that he can work around some other things and get what's best from you, from your skill set. So if I look at Shedeur Sanders, he throws the ball downfield, throws a beautiful deep ball. He's been shown he's more mobile than I think a lot of people give him credit for. And he's a guy who, he's going to incorporate RPOs and different things like that. But I think it's a good marriage. By the way, I actually think Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel will look better with Todd Monken and what he's able to incorporate into this offense. In terms of Deshaun Watson being a shotgun type dude, Dylan Gabriel is shorter, smaller stature, so he'll be in the shotgun more. But I think more importantly, I think his attention to detail, holding people accountable, and being creative and tailoring game plans to their attributes, Tyvis, I think is going to make them look better.
You've been watching Deshaun throw that ball. You seen that zip?
Hey man, I just I've been in my film bag.
Hey,
the zip is his quarterback rating as a Brown.
anyways,
Yeah.
Was George Pickens at Georgia when he was there?
Yeah, I heard. Was he?
Isn't George Pickens a free agent?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, but the Cowboys are probably
He could be franchise tagged. He ain't hitting the market.
Wouldn't that be something? They would never do that. They would never do that. No, I agree with G, though. I think that
He was at Georgia for those 2 years, Tyvis. 2 of his 3 years.
Wouldn't that be something? No, I can see for sure when you look at the quarterback room, obviously I've already spoken on the fact that he wanted Shedeur, the Baltimore Ravens, to draft Shedeur. So there is something.
We don't know that he wanted them to draft Shedeur.
I mean, he's on the staff. He's offensive coordinator. So I'm assuming
we don't know.
I'm assuming he was in on the conversation.
Okay, go ahead. Well,
come on.
Well, do you think he's offended then that Shedeur said don't draft me?
No, because he probably understood the exact reason why Shedeur said don't draft me.
Because he was not going to play behind Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
well, he probably would have.
Yeah, he would have.
He played. I mean, not play, right? Yeah.
No, but I think that when you look at just the development of not the development, of how he's elevated Lamar's game, and obviously Derrick Henry makes a big a big difference in the run game. But like you got two young guys that could potentially be that. Not saying Shedeur has the athleticism of Lamar Jackson. That's crazy talk.
Yeah.
But to say that you've seen Lamar become a better passer over the past couple of years under Todd Monken, like that means something. And I think Shedeur already has good things when he makes the right decisions with the ball. He actually has made some throws that's made you stand up out of your chair. So you can get a guy that can go in there and fine tune it, obviously help him see the game in a different way. You could have something there. And if Deshaun Watson ever wants to go back to 2020, this is probably his best opportunity to do that, because you're coming in, you got a new guy that's everybody's starting ground zero. There is no favorites. Everybody is on the same level. It's about who can come in there and get the playbook right and can make the reads and make the throws the best during OTA. So, therefore, it's an open competition between three quarterbacks. Three guys are going to go in there every day and try to be the best, that by the time we get to the season, there will be so much development, because competition breeds development. And I think having those three guys compete, I don't want it to be like it was last year where this is a clear open 4-quarterback competition. Don't want it to be that. I think it will necessarily is really just two guys that's competing for it, which it should be. And I think those two guys have a good relationship within each other. But when you get on the field, you want to compete. So you're going to try to be your best every day. And I think both guys can grow from that.
So a couple of things. There's no chance it's going to be the same three quarterbacks in my mind. I'll be stunned beyond belief.
You think they're going to ship?
Well, Fowler said there's going to be a shakeup to the quarterback room. What that means, I don't know. Now, it doesn't mean he's definitely right. Maybe
they're going to get Carson back.
I don't know what they're going to do. He suggested they might draft Ty Simpson at 24. Would you have a problem with that if they drafted Ty Simpson at 24?
Yes.
Of course.
You'd have a problem with it?
A huge
I
problem.
don't love it.
I would. You know what? I would have to see how March 11 shake out.
That's the combine?
Let's start a free agency.
Oh, free agency.
I need to see what happens during that.
I just don't think Ty Simpson's that good.
Yeah,
but
look. And to me, with Malik Willis, it's like I'd rather just see Shedeur Sanders get a chance than I don't think Malik Willis is any more likely to be a good starting quarterback than Shedeur Sanders.
Well, the funny thing is, G just said that Todd Monken talks about a guy who's got to be able to improvise and make plays with his legs and stuff like that. Malik Willis definitely do that.
Yeah, but I just want to go back to something you said in the beginning. I think it's kind of disrespectful. You said it's mostly about the players. You can talk about the coach all you want, whatever. You said, and I agree. I think it's disrespectful to players when we give too much credit to the coaches for how good they are. And I think we do that too often.
I just did that.
Todd Monken, should he do a good job with the quarterbacks? Yes. Is he going to help Shedeur Sanders get better? He should. Mm-hmm. But if Shedeur Sanders becomes a legitimate good starting quarterback in the NFL, it's mostly going to be because of him.
Right.
Not because of Todd Monken, but everything factors in. Certainly the coach factors in. The system factors in. The talent around you factors in. How you slept the night before. Your habits off the field. All these things factor in.
I feel like it's like 70-30. 70-30 player coach.
Well, what about talent around you?
Well, no, because with the coach, like they do help you see the game and play faster.
Okay, well, you would know.
Yeah, for example, as a safety, me in high school, learned the game a different way. But when I got to college and I met Chris Ash, he helped me see things, so it made me play faster and see things faster. So the coach does matter into your development and how well you play, because they got to put you in position to make those plays.
Okay.
It's like everybody talks about system quarterbacks, like Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy. Oh, he wouldn't be able to do things if he went somewhere else. Well, then, if that's the case, then that coach is calling the plays that that he know he can handle and can
Right.
execute. So like that
And
has a lot to
different
do with the
coaches
coach.
work well for different guys.
Right, so,
Chris
like-
Ash might not be as good for another player.
Right, so it's like I can't necessarily just say like the coach don't have nothing. Like it's like 70-30.
Can I give you the biggest example in my mind from a quarterback perspective of that?
Sam Darnold.
No, well, he fits in, but Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff started his career with Jeff Fisher.
Yeah.
Goes to McVay, and McVay said, I don't think he's good enough. He got better under McVay, but did not become the quarterback he now is.
Jared Goff. Oh, yeah.
It was Jeff Fisher.
Right, okay, and then
He
McVay,
got drafted by Jeff Fisher.
and now
then
Dan
McVay,
Campbell.
Or Jeff Fisher,
and then goes
too.
to Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell,
Yeah.
and he got older as a player, but he was with McVay for a couple years. And McVay's as good of a quarterback teacher as I think any of us.
No offense, Mike, but I think that's actually a bad example because he played better with Dan Campbell than he did with McVay.
That's my point. Different coach. I'm not saying it's necessarily. I'm saying different coaches connect with
Oh,
players in different
yeah,
ways.
right. I got you.
I'm not saying it's a knock on McVay. McVay's in a
Okay.
tier of his own. I'm saying for whatever reason, Jared Goff and Sean McVay, the way they saw football, the way that they wanted to execute their vision of an offensive game plan, did not mesh as well as it has for him in Detroit.
Well, he had a level of success with McVay, better
he
than
went to the
Jeff
Super Bowl.
Fisher.
They went to the
but-
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of things. Like when you're a coach, that's why I always say, you got to be a people person as well as a person that can understand the game. Because when you're a coach, you are a motivator, you're a teacher, you're a psychologist. You have to be. And sometimes a coach will tell you messing up because of your technique. Sometimes a coach will tell you messing up because you in your head. Sometimes the coach will tell you, hey, listen, that's on me. You thinking too much out there. Let's simplify the game so you can play faster.
Yeah.
So they doing, and sometimes as a quarterback, you might just be seeing ghosts at that point. Like you so shell shocked. So the coach will come and say, hey, listen,
Yeah.
you look like a deer in the headlights. Let's figure this out. So a coach is all of those things. So when you get a guy that's really tapped in and is able to talk to you on a different level where he gives you what you need at that moment, that's a really, really great coach. And for quarterbacks is more important because for quarterbacks, it could be confidence, it could be timing, it could be rhythm, it could be not understanding what the defense is giving you. So I think all those things are very important when you get a young quarterback and they get somebody that's going to pour into them and say, and more than anything, and I'll say this is, sometimes your coach has to believe in you. It's different from you being like, I'm going to compete. It's at some point in time, somebody going to have to say, here's the guy. And when somebody tells you you're the guy, it puts something in you.
Yeah, we'll
different.
see. I don't think they hired Todd Monken specifically for Shedeur Sanders. I don't believe
think
that
that's
at all.
the case.
No, for his offensive prowess, I
it
think.
It may help Shedeur Sanders and it may help other guys, whoever ends up being the quarterback. But I don't know. You guys seem more convinced than I that it's going to be the same three quarterbacks next year, and I just don't. I'd be shocked if that's the case.
You think they're going to trade Dylan Gabriel?
I don't know
Atlanta?
what they're going to do.
I think I
don't know.
I think all the
go
moves.
back up Penix and Kirk Cousins.
I do believe that they may take a late round flyer on somebody in the 4th or 5th round.
Carson Beck.
See, I don't. That's. I think they're going to, and I could be wrong, but I think they're going to either get a veteran or surprise us and draft a quarterback higher. And I really hope I'm wrong about both of those things because I don't like any of the veterans they could get. And again, I'm not an expert, but I don't think any. It seems like none of the
What's a
quarterbacks are
veteran
worth
that
high.
they can get outside of Malik?
Mac Jones they could trade for.
No,
Jared Stidham?
I was talking about free agents.
Here's the,
I don't know, or trade. And again, let me make it very clear. I don't, unless there's some guy that I'm not thinking of the known options, draft and free agency and trade, I would rather not get any of them, but I think they will. That's just my feeling about it.
I don't feel like anybody that they can get in the draft or anybody they can get in free agency is better than the first two guys they got on their roster. I don't think Malik Willis is even better than Deshaun Watson.
I wouldn't go that far personally, but I would say I don't think it's clear that any of those guys are better. They might, and like a Malik Willis hasn't played enough either. Could he be better than Shedeur and Deshaun Watson at this point?
Possible.
He could be.
I'm not saying he is or isn't.
Yeah.
Malik Willis, the one game that he had the big game against,
Yeah.
was against Baltimore in front of Todd Monken.
Yeah,
I'm
Todd
just
Monken's
saying that's.
First of all, I don't think he has anything to do with that, but or maybe a little. Who knows? But Todd Monken's been around the league long enough. He's not making decisions based on one game.
I'm just saying that the one game he did play well happened to be in front of Todd.
Yeah, I don't think that matters. Though.
And another reason I don't think they're making a move is first of all, I look at it from a number of circumstances. The investment, the financial capital that you have, and people say, let's go get a veteran. To me, the Cleveland Browns is like, yeah, we already got a veteran, one of the most expensive ones in the game, and he's sitting on the second on the roster. Like, why would we give $20 million to go get another dude?
Yeah,
that's
the part I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you'd have to pay Malik Willis $20 million. If you did, obviously they wouldn't do it. I don't know why anybody would do that. But if you could, like, for example, trade for Mac Jones, I don't think his contract's that expensive.
No, because he got 1 year left.
Right.
But then you had to tag him or sign him the next year anyway.
I mean,
you freeing up money by him.
Who knows?
But they said that the price tag is high. So you giving up either the second round pick or
I'm not giving up a second round pick. I think that'd be crazy.
Pick.
I ain't giving no picks up and no money for none of them.
Yeah.
No money, no picks.
Like trade quarterback Sam Darnold going to the Super Bowl.
He is.
It's a hot topic.
Who would have thought that he went to the Super Bowl before Allen and Lamar?
Yeah.
Amazing.